What is going on, Gooners and Goonerettes? Good to see you guys. What a rainy day it is out here. It's absolutely crazy and insane, but big shout out to everybody who's made the effort to truck outside and deal with this weather. Let's talk about Mykhaylo Mudryk, which is what everybody wants to discuss, and I'll give you the latest right here. But before I do that, if you guys ain't subscribed, hit that subscribe button now and join the channel. Join not just the channel, but the one-on-one community as a whole. There's a link to the forum below. There's about 4,000 people in there. It's daily banter. I know you guys will enjoy it. If you love that kind of thing, then join us and share your views, have your say, and join the podcasts. But moving on to Mykhaylo Mudryk. Now, Mykhaylo has been very respectful to the directors and the negotiators, and he's basically said to them, look, I want to join Arsenal as soon as possible. He's not going to put in a transfer request out of respect, but he's told them, get the job done. And that is helping to apply that pressure that we talked about. We know where the two stances are on both of the clubs. Fabrizio Romano has been very straightforward in saying that they are talking on a daily basis. We are aware of that. I'm hearing that they're already at Arsenal making plans to suit him up in hotels in the UK. But outside of that, what the two sides are saying is Arsenal, who offered 40 million and 20 million in incentives. Then the second bid was for 50 million with incentives on top of that. The third bid is somewhere around the 60 million region. So they've gone up in increments of 10 million. But the third bid hasn't put forward because Arsenal don't want that to be rejected. It has to be an agreement. We have to come to some sort of an agreement, a negotiation with Shakhtar bosses before the bid goes in. And until that happens, we won't see it being facilitated. But we are close, guys. Shakhtar, where it is at the moment now, have been saying that they don't want to budge on that 100 million euros, 88 million pounds offering that they would accept for the player. And Arsenal have been very clear that this is their last bid. They are not going to be even getting close to that figure. So there has to be some kind of a compromise. And Mykhaylo has come into the fore by saying, guys, get it done. I want to play for Arsenal. I want to go there now. You have got shots of him actually in his winter training that he's hugging teammates despite the ongoing transfer saga that's going on. He's currently in that tussle with his agent and Arsenal and his club. He's still in Turkey with the rest of the squad for the mid-season training camp. Remember, Shakhtar don't play again until they face Rennes in the Europa League on the 16th of February. So they'll be hoping that they'll be able to get this sorted out well before then so that they can actually even try and bring in a replacement for him. And like I said, he was seen spotting, training, and then hugging his teammates. So I think that that's really kind of in one way him saying his goodbyes to the teammates and trying to tell them, I guess every day they're coming up to him saying, what's going on, bro? You still here? And he's saying, look, man, I'm training. I got to do what I got to do before this is all sorted out. So you can see that there's a little bit of banter that's been going on there. And good to see his spirits are still high. But the onus is now is for Shakhtar now to come down to an agreement. It looks like that's what they're doing at the moment. They're just talking about now incentives and percentages on bonuses. What type of incentives? Where do Arsenal finish in the league? Whether they make the Champions League, how many goals he scores. If Arsenal in the next 3 or 4 years decide to sell him on to Real Madrid or Barcelona, and then he goes for some crazy amount, then Shakhtar will get 10% of whatever that fee is. So say if he goes for 100 million, then Shakhtar will get 10 or 15 million out of that deal. And what that does is that kind of surpluses their demands to say that, look, we wanted 100 million for him now. If Arsenal could let them know, look, if there's a possibility he could stay at Arsenal for his whole career, or there's a possibility that he could move on. But if he does move on, we'll make sure that you get a piece of the pie. That might help to settle the bridges. That might help to build the bonds and for Shakhtar to say, okay, then, so we will drop down to somewhere around 80 million euros if something like that will happen. So that's where I can see this deal happening at the moment now. So I can see something like that happening to push this deal forward. What I can see is something like 60 million and then maybe 15 to 20 million in incentives, and then the whole package being around 80 million. That's what I can see happening at the moment. And Shakhtar seem to be playing ball. They're closer to the table than they've always been. And it seems like once these percentages and incentives are ironed out, that we could see a deal happening over the next 3 or 4 days. So listen, thanks for you guys for keeping up with the channel. And as soon as I hear any news, I'll hit you up as soon as possible. But guys, we've got to look forward to Spurs on the weekend. It's going to be a big game, which I told you guys about. I've been saying for many, many months now, and there's ample amount of videos saying that Manchester City, two things. They're not playing as well as they have been of the years that they've had in there, simply because they've had a Ronaldo Man United effect, where instead you had this team football with United where Martial, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, everybody was coming in with goals and assists. And as soon as they brought Ronaldo into the mix, the whole focus was on him, and it cut down. Remember, Fernandes had like 16 goals, 17 assists, ridiculous. And just watch his numbers plummet. Martial didn't really feature. Rashford was on the bench. So the whole thing kind of went backwards, and then you were left with this player who just sucked up all the energy in the stadium, and now Ronaldo's gone. With Haaland, it's not as bad because Haaland is delivering goals on an elite level that nobody in Europe can even compare to. But what that's done is, by getting rid of Jesus and getting rid of Sterling, it's made all the other bit part players take a back seat. And Haaland is not really the focus anymore. And you can see what happened in Southampton. What do they do when this guy's not around? It's almost like nobody knows what's going on. They didn't score. Kevin De Bruyne came on in the second half, and they still added nothing. And what this does is it just goes to prove that that dimension, that Haaland has sucked up all the energy in the team, and everything is too focused around him. And what they need to do, what Pep needs to do, and what will give them a chance to win the Premier League this season, is if he learns to find that balance that Manchester United never had. United never found that balance, and it ended up capitulating the whole team. Man City has to find those solutions. They've got to find, how do we build a team around Haaland? Because Haaland is the central focus point in the team. If they can crack that, then I think that that's the only reason why they will go on unbeaten runs that they've had over the years and charge us towards the end of the season. I don't think that they're going to do that, because I've said there's too many weaknesses there. There's too many offensive frailties. Yes, we've seen some strengths. We saw in the last game when Mahrez and Grealish was able to come on, and they were able to win the game. But that is something that's not going to happen every week, because the weakness, the times that we've seen Man City blowing teams away, that's just not happening this season. And I can see United going there this weekend and getting a result. What that means for Arsenal is you've got to really focus now on getting your act together to take points off Spurs. And as I said, it's been a to and fro. Spurs win at their place, we win at our place, and we have to break the chain. We have to do that, guys. We've got to go in there with the mindset that we are the favourites. We're the best team in the league, and we've got to go in there with that kind of dominance. And I think that we'll do that. They didn't really use Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard that much. Some wasn't used at all. Zinchenko and Partey were bit part players against Oxford, and they came in late in the game to help take us over the line. But overall, they're fresh. They have fresh legs in the middle of the field. They have Saka is a little bit of a concern. I'm not really seeing anything. As far as I'm concerned, he's going to play. And even if he's 90%, or 95%, he's still going to play. It's not a game that he's going to want to miss. And we also have Smith Rowe back into the fray, so that's going to help. That's going to help relieve some tension late on in the game when we're trying to push over the line. And I hope what didn't happen last weekend when we played Newcastle, that Arteta does bring Fabio Vieira into the mix, and that him and Smith Rowe can help take us over the line against Spurs. I don't know what Spurs are going to do with Richarlison, whether he's fit. I guess, again, we'll find out tomorrow when the conferences are on. But, yeah, I'm still going with an Arsenal 2-1 win. I would love to see Nketiah. You guys make me laugh about Nketiah. It's crazy. It's like you're trying to make up excuse after excuse that, he can't score, and then he starts scoring in the Europa and everywhere else. He can't score in the Premier League. Now he's scoring in the Premier League on a regular basis. Now you're saying he can't score against top teams. It's like, when does it stop? He scored against Brighton when we played Chelsea at the end of last season. He scored 2 goals against Chelsea, got man of the match. It's like you're just making stuff up now. And what it's doing is just making you look like a fan with an agenda against one of our young academy players. And like I said in the forum yesterday, big up Smith Rowe, big up Saka, but when it comes to the likes of Nelson and Nketiah, you guys just don't have the passion, and we need to have the passion because we need to bring those guys along. We need to give them the confidence, and we need to give them the backing and support in order to succeed. So listen, so that's where I am with Spurs on Sunday, 2-1 to Arsenal. That's my prediction. And I said, guys, like the channel, subscribe, and I'll speak to you guys in the next one, man. Peace out.